And we're back at it. Welcome to the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows, a Sidelines sports production. I'm your host, Lauren Meadows of GatorBaitMedia.com with the best shoe game and the Gator Media. And we got a good one for you tonight. The Florida Gator baseball team is in action in Hoover, taking care of the Gamecocks by a score of 11-3, so they will move on to face Ole Miss tomorrow. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party comes to Gainesville, as the Gators and Bulldogs will play for the right to go to Oklahoma City in softball. Golden Lands Boogie. Arkansas guard Boogie Fland will transfer to Florida, giving the Gators another real shot at what could be a repeat run to the Final Four. We will discuss that and more with Franz Beard of GatorBaitMedia.com. Rob Browne will join us to discuss the best brands in college football, kicks of the week, as well as Hyper Have At It. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Meldon Law and Titan MRI and Imaging. Please like and subscribe to the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows on YouTube and Facebook, and follow yours truly on Instagram at Ohio Gator for Life, as well as X Real Ohio Gator. Let's get to it. We want to congratulate Kendra Falby and Taylor Shoemaker as they received All-American honors from Softball America. Falby was named to the first team as well as taking home Defender of the Year. Shoemaker was named second team All-American, National Freshman of the Year while heading the Freshman All-American team. The Gators will host the Georgia Bulldogs in the Super Regionals for a pseudo cocktail party at KSP. Anytime the Gators and Bulldogs get together, it's going to be a good one. I mean, it'll be right at KSP. The last two times the Gators have faced the Bulldogs in the Super Regionals, unfortunately, the Georgia Bulldogs have come out on top, actually shutting out the Gators 3 or 4 times. But the Gators have taken 6 of the last 8 meetings, so it should be a good one. It'll be rocking at KSP, and like I said, anytime the Gators and the Bulldogs get together, it's going to be a good one. The Gators got a really big commitment from transfer guard Boogie Fland. The combo guard out of the Bronx, New York, averaged 13.5 points, 5.1 assists, and 3.2 rebounds as a freshman, and was a 5-star recruit in 2024. The former McDonald's All-American is the highest-rated recruit that Golden has ever landed based on high school ranking. I think Fland was maybe 16, and Cornelius Ingram, incoming freshman, is number 21. So quite a bit for the Gators to get into. Going to bring in Brendan Martin real quick to kind of wrap a taste before we go with Franz. How you doing, Brendan?
What is going on, my friend?
Man, a lot going on, man.
I mean, it's never. I mean, we used to talk about having an off season, but there is no off season.
No off season, man. A lot going on. It's it's funny, man. It's this time of year, and while everybody, and we're gonna get to some football a little bit a little later on with Rob, but I mean, the Gators look poised, and we'll talk about it with Franz, but it could be a run to Oklahoma City. The baseball team's playing a lot better, and then being able to get Boogie Fland along with Xavier Lee, A.J. Browne coming in, Alex Lloyd, and then my man Cornelius Ingram, who we had on the show. I mean, there's a lot of excitement that kind of precedes all of this football that we're going to be, dropping here in the next, 3 to 5 months for sure.
But I mean, look, and that's not. I mean, there's plenty of storylines coming out of there as well. Great side. Gators title chances are looking good. The backcourt's going to be pretty unbelievable. I mean, Todd Golden getting that little ching payday's always got to help, which gives confidence, right? Gives confidence. You want to come play at Florida. But obviously, I mean, how exciting is that? Because, these things, this is why you got to love college athletics here, because of the trickle-down effect that this will have. Champions beget champions, right?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, don't forget about it. Out there lurking always is that Gator track team that seems to somehow find a way, and they're kind of the last ones to go. I mean, baseball's right there too. But yeah, I mean, I think it's, and it kind of fits to, when they built that Hefner Center, and, we talked about it, we all got to take a tour and that kind of thing. But that Hall of Champions is almost built kind of as an osmotic kind of, relationship building where you have the best of the best. You got Olympians, you got gymnasts, you got, baseball. You got all these people coming together, almost like in a think tank. And I think it's rare. You don't see that at a lot of other college campuses where it's almost like, let me rub off on you a little bit. Let me get a little bit of you, almost like a cross pollination of greatness that exists, here at Florida.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's always sort of been that way because I think that's the culture, right? You do enough of these shows about the SEC, you talk to enough people around the SEC, and you really have these discussions in our off season. But you do understand a little bit more of how things function at other schools and what they emphasize. We talked about this, Lauren. You bring it up and say, "Oh, Auburn." Well, first thing you say, "Well, family, right? Culture." These things matter, and facilities matter, and having deep pockets matter. So, hey, good on Florida for picking up really what's just going to be somebody who if you don't know, was going to be in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, he actually tested the waters, jumped out there. And speaking of testing the waters, Florida got some other good news with Ruben Trinyelu will return to Florida to compete in his junior season. Kind of went out there, tested the waters, and then the big get, I guess, or the one that they're waiting on is, will Alex Condon return to school as well? I think right now he's bottom of the first round, maybe early second, but if he would drop into that second round, he could return to school. And now you're talking about a front court of Houck, Hanlogden, Chinyelu, and Condon. You throw in, like I said, Cornelius Ingram and others. And this is a team that, could be headed to Indy, and we'd be talking about it again a year from now. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that, Boogie Fland jumped out there. Most guys do, one and done type guys. He was a highly rated guard, a combo guard, a slasher, really was playing well, actually got hurt against Florida, which is ironic, hurt his hand, dropped off from about 18 points to 13 points. But I mean, definitely a, somebody that's going to come in ready to roll. And, we'll discuss it with Franz a little bit more, but it could almost be a backcourt that supersedes what the Gators had this year, maybe on a talent level. Obviously, they don't have the quote-unquote adults like you had with Clayton Richard, Elijah Martin, but from a talent standpoint, it could be, it stacks up pretty good. Shout out to Nat Blaylock, saying, "What's up, Lauren?"
Oh, yeah, Nat, what's up?
Nat,
best master electrician around.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No, look, you're right. no doubt. But, and then Dan Bond brings up, and this is something maybe it's softball related, but really, did you see the start times for the super regionals, Brendan?
Yeah, I did.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
11 a.m. on a Friday, on a weekday, where, kids love to come to KSP. The little young girls like to be there. And
well, maybe that's why.
I mean, so.
You ever think about that? You don't got kids. It's 11 a.m. for kids. That's like,
well, it's on school day. I mean, kids are still in school. I mean, do you get the kids out of school? 11 o'clock was like, wow. I mean, on a Friday, I mean, I could see maybe the Saturday game being 11, but the first game at 11 on a Friday. I mean, I know it's TV and they're trying to get everybody exposure, but man, that's like a Saturday start time at like Texas or Texas A&M, Ole Miss in football. You don't see that in a super regional.
I feel like Omaha has some early games like that when they get that they start. But I don't know. I mean, look, it is all about TV and it's all about their demo, right? They're going to see who's going to get what. But hey, look, it ain't by accident, right? I'll tell you that. Somebody's got some reason for it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's TV. It's ESPN is really latching on. I think we've seen the wave that was women's basketball a couple years ago, and now softball seems to be following. I mean, the more engaged that these young women become, and like I said, I think it's it's a game. The two fastest growing games in America for females is women's basketball and softball. I mean, more playing it, and you see more of these travel teams popping up and things like that. You mentioned soccer as well, so. Shout out to Miss Stella playing that soccer, but I mean, it just,
and that's funny because she's going to be 13 in July, going in 8th grade. I mean, they get like a month and a half, 2 months off. I mean, we're hitting 2-a-day not 2-a-days, but they hit, they start training in July, end of
Right.
July,
Mhm.
and for 2 months. So, and it goes year round. So, these kind of things, you kind of pick your sport and they kind of go with it. But women's athletics is, it's fun to watch. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's just a different game.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just growing. I mean it's just becoming more popular. Shout out to Ellis Hull. He said, "What time?" I would assume he's talking about the next baseball game. I think it's scheduled for 5:30 tomorrow night. They had some weather in Hoover, which pushed everything back. So everything's kind of back a day.
Yeah,
The last game is the
I was trying
first
to look up
game,
the
and
score. I think it's all
yeah,
screwed up too. When I tried
yeah.
the schedule's not even working.
Yeah, so I think now
Check your
the
local
last game,
listings.
yeah, check your but the last
Don't
game I
check
think
me.
tomorrow will be the first game on Thursday,
Yes.
as it was
I'm
scheduled.
dyslexic. I start
So
drinking
they
at that point.
yeah, so they'll be doing that. So so yeah, I mean it's a lot going on this weekend, a lot to be excited about. I think the Gators are in line in baseball to host a regional. They're hosting obviously the super regionals with the Gators. I mean, what does that mean, Brendan, when you talk about and if you talk about what fun softball is, that it's almost like the world's largest outdoor cocktail party comes to KSP this weekend. People like to get ready
Well,
to
I was
go and
talking about this since I live in the area.
Mhm.
If you want to find a cool place to hang out look, it's not ladies' night or anything, but you want to
Mhm.
go meet other people, you want to go have a good time, be social, okay?
Right.
Like these games are really fun. It's a fun thing to go do. So around here, when sometimes you're looking for something more structured and fun to do, that it's an unbelievable option. And with that, we bring in the one, the only, the Iron Duke.
Is that my
In the
man there?
show,
There he is right there.
Francis
How you
Beard.
doing, Franz?
I feel like
Hi,
Franz needs
boys
some.
and girls.
Hey,
I
what's
feel
up,
like you
man?
need some sort of unbelievably epic, like Franz here just joined the program.
Yeah,
There he
no
is.
doubt.
Good, Franz, how are you, sir?
So, Franz, I want to get right to it, man. Michael Jackson used to have a song, or the Jacksons, they called it "Don't Blame It on the Sunshine, Don't Blame It on the Moonlight, Blame It on the Boogie." So we got Boogie Fland arriving, a commitment that the Gators are really excited about. We talked about it, averaged 13.5 points per game, 5 assists, was really dealing close to 20 points per game before he got hurt. Actually, in the game against the Gators, hurt his hand, kind of had to miss some games. But just talk about Boogie Fland and what this means to this Gator basketball team, that if things go right, could be poised for another big run next season.
Well, the first thing is the Gators have now replaced the firepower that they lost. Clayton, Elijah Martin, Will Richard, the three of them averaged 46 points a game between them. Xavier Lee, Boogie Fland, A.J. Browne, 43.3 together. I would say that's pretty close to replacing it. And when you add in the assists, you got 8 assists per game, 11.7, 11.8 assists per game, which is more assists than the three departing players averaged. I think 4 more assists per game. So you've replaced the firepower. You've also replaced experience, because we got to remember that even though they didn't start their careers at Florida, we're replacing 3 4-year starters, plus Denzel Aberdeen missed, and he was almost like a starter this past year, played in every ball game, and he got starter minutes in most of them. So you're replacing a lot of different elements there, but you're replacing them with experience. You're replacing them with a little more size, for one thing, because all three of the, Boogie's 6'2", which is the same size as Martin and Clayton, but Xavier Lee's 6'4". A.J. Browne is almost, they list him as 6'4", but I had him in high school in some games I broadcast, and he's a legit 6'5". He really is. He's a legit 6'5". At least he's 6'5" in his shoes. And last I checked, most guys play in their shoes. So when they give their barefoot height, I say, well, I don't know too many guys who play barefoot. Do you? Most
Yeah,
of
no.
them,
Yeah, you wouldn't want to play barefoot.
wear shoes. So give me their height and their shoes, okay? Don't give me this barefoot stuff. Although I will tell you a quick little story. When Rex Grossman went to the NFL Combine, all right, uh, he looked and they measured everybody in their socks. Nobody got measured barefooted. He put lifts in his socks. When he came to UF and pro day at UF, they were looking and they were measuring guys barefooted, and Rex just said, "I'll take my combine height."
Yeah, no
His,
doubt. You gotta work it, man. It's a game out there. And you mentioned the points, you mentioned the assists. What I wanted to ask you is, when you look at this backcourt, I think one of the more underrated things about last year's backcourt, when you talk about Will Richard, Elijah Martin, and Walter Clayton, is how, because a lot of people got into the Steph Curry comparisons, Damian Lillard, things like that, but was the way they defended. When you talk about being able to get after people down the stretch, contain other teams' guards, what kind of defender is a guy like Xavier Lee? What kind of defender is a Boogie Fland? Because I think that's where, this team this past season was really able to make their mark. What kind of defenders are they getting in guys like Lee, Browne, and Fland, and even, like Cornelius Ingram, who could play a huge role as well?
well, this is going to be the real measure of how they progress in the summer months. The offense, they're going to scrimmage and all this stuff, and they'll play a lot of ball games with head to head with each other. All these guys can score, every one of them. They all scored in high school, and you look at them and they've scored the three of the new guys all scored in college. These freshmen can score. Urban Klausler can score. Isaiah Browne can score. There's no shortage of people who can put the ball in the basket. The question is going to be how they learn to defend, and not just defend one-on-one, but they defend as team defense. And I'll use the example, Lauren, of you look at the last play of the last game, and you look at how many people had to play their role to the T. I mean, nobody missed an assignment on that defensive front. Every single one of them did what they had to do. You look at how the ball goes to Cryer, and Cryer tries to take it to the right wing. At the right wing, he is cut off there. There's Elijah Martin there. There's Condon. There's Tommy Hawk there. So he has to come back out. Here comes Richard on him. Walter has got sharp the whole way. Condon has Jawan Roberts. When he leaves Jawan Roberts, Hawk picks up Jawan Roberts, so there's no place to go with the ball. And this is a result of 5 guys who knew their assignments and carried it out. These guys, I'm sure they'll have it drilled into them, defensive assignments. But can they carry out their defensive assignments as part of a team? One-on-one, I think they'll all do well. But can they get the rotations right? Can they understand when to hedge, and when to slough off because maybe the guy on the wing is getting beaten a little bit too bad, and you got to help him out. All these things, the little things that add up into great team defense. I have no question they'll score probably as much or more than they did last year, which, considering they were the number 2 offensive team in the country per KenPom, that's pretty darn good. But they'll score as much. every bit as much. You may not have as dynamic scorer in the Walter Clayton mold, but you got all these guys, and Tommy Hawk, I think is going to end up being, he may end up being the guy that averages 18, 19 a game this coming year. I think I read somewhere today that a lot of people project that Tommy Hawk is going to end up being the most highly drafted player of the last 2 years, and he's going to be the one that ends up with the longest NBA career. There's a lot of people who really believe that he can do that because he is your Swiss Army knife. You plug him in and he just plays. Doesn't matter. He's just happy to be out there, and he'll play as hard as he can, no matter where he's playing. And we've all been on teams like that, or seen or been a part of teams like that. It's one of the things that has to happen is you've got to have on every team, you got to have one or two guys that just want to be there. And because they just want to be there, they will play as hard as their bodies and minds will allow them to play. And they'll give you more than you ever dreamed possible. And this is the thing I love about Tommy Hawk is you always feel you got more than you bargained for out of him. Some guys are like that. I thought Denzel, and this is one of the reasons why I was so disappointed to see him leave, was I always felt we got more out of him than we bargained for. And Elijah Martin, another one. We always got. Right. Oh gosh, Elijah Martin. If he doesn't make it in the NBA, can make it.
I told him. I said you need to go make you some money. I told him. I said, you need to find if you got some college eligibility left, you need to go and take some time and and get in the weight room and get back to football for sure. I mean, I think that is.
Or else put the gloves on.
I was gonna tell him, talk to Titus O'Neil, maybe go get in the WWE or something like that.
I covered a lot of heavyweight championship boxing, and I got to tell you what, he's already got a better body than a lot of the heavyweights that I covered. You give him 10 more pounds, and all of a sudden he's up there, basically same size as Ernie Holmes. Ernie Holmes was 6'2", and maybe 210, 215, 215. Ali was a skinny guy at first. Now later on in his career, he boxed at about 230. But when he started out, he was about that same size.
Well, before we let you go, friends, I know you got to write and everything, but I do want you to touch on the Florida baseball team up there in Hoover this weekend. Was able to take care of the South Carolina Gamecocks 11-3. Where's this baseball team now?
They're 38-19. They got 16 SEC wins. They're 15 of their last 19 games they've won in the SEC. They got Ole Miss tomorrow. And I know a lot of people are saying it's going to be either Tuscaloosa or Gainesville. Tuscaloosa. I think Florida, by virtue of beating Alabama in that series, and then coming on and getting a decisive win over a South Carolina team that had a lot to play for. I mean, Alabama kind of, I thought, sleepwalked their way through Missouri, and Missouri wasn't going anywhere. Missouri had nothing to play for, but South Carolina, 28-28. You give them 2 or 3 wins there in Hoover, and all of a sudden they might be hard to keep out of a regional. So they had a lot to play for, and Florida hammered them, absolutely hammered them. And I think people are looking at the fact that, okay, next week you got Colby Shelton comes back next week. Could be maybe even by the end of this week if they get that far in the tournament. But they're 38 19. Let's say they beat Ole Miss. That's 39
Yeah.
wins. How are you, okay, 39 wins.
Yeah.
That might be hard not to give them a regional
Yeah.
host down there. I think Florida. I think the way the committee is going to be, I think they're going to look at all the SEC, 13 SEC teams, and 14 if the Aggies win 2 or 3 ball games. But I think let's just say 13 for good measure. Let's just say 13. I think they're going to get 13 teams in. You're going to get 10 from the ACC, 23 teams in, because Miami got absolutely just bludgeoned today.
Right.
They got run ruled in the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to look at this and they're going to say, okay, why can't we give Southern Miss, for example?
Right.
We ought to give Southern Miss. Maybe we ought to give TCU.
Right.
The big Central.
Right.
I think they'll look for. I think they're going to look for reasons. I think you're going to look at maybe 8 SEC teams hosting 8 SEC, 4 ACC teams, and then 4 teams from other places. Like I think they'll. I'm pretty sure they'll give UCLA, which won the Big Ten. I'm pretty sure they'll give UCLA regional host. I think they probably would give Arizona out of the Big TCU, and then say at SMU, Southern Miss one also, and then you got your 16 teams. I think it's
Right.
I think Florida to host. I think they got to win 2 more games.
Yeah.
I think they deserve to host? Yeah, but who are we fooling? We've been around this block a few times
Right.
before. It's not always who deserves it. It's who the NCAA decides in their infinite wisdom who to give it to.
Right. Well, let me throw this out there before we let you go, Franz. Is you got a book coming out? I mean, all of our listeners really like to listen. Before we let you go, obviously you're one of my favorite writers. You were one of the guys I depended on for my news when I was living in Ohio, the good stuff on the Gators. But this book really speaks to, kind of the journey you mentioned earlier, but just what this team was, and just explain to everybody what this book really is going to be about, and why it's so important to you as a basketball fan and all the basketball that you've witnessed, but particularly this Florida Gator basketball team.
Well, I'll start with the fact, and I hate to throw my age in there. I mean, I hate to, my cunning guile and experience,
Right.
throw that in you on you young whippersnappers. But I'm 73, and it really, during this journey, and it was a journey, particularly when we got to these last 4 weeks, because you had the SEC tournament, the first and second rounds in Raleigh, then the West Regional out in San Francisco, and then the Final Four. So 4 weeks. Over this 4-week period, I really started understanding the fact that I'm 73. Years since Florida had made, we think of Kentucky as this big bad blue blood. Florida has been to more.
Okay, we lost Franz Beard there a little bit. I don't know if we'll be able to get him back, but we bring in my man Rob Browne. What's up, Rob?
Hey, I was listening to him talk about that book, which I think is going to be it's going to be a bestseller.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think we got any weather here in Gainesville, but it's wild, man. But
we did,
Rob. I was, it was. I'm gonna give you a crack at it. We'll get to our hyper have at it. I like, you know what time it is with that. But Rob, we got some big happenings, man. Oh, there he is back with it. Franz, we're talking about the book. Hit us with the name of the book real quick, and then I got a couple quick questions for you. So I want you to participate in your very first Hype or Have At It here on the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows. So give us the name of the book, and then we'll move to the Hype or Have At It.
The only book I can tell you the name of is if I ever decide to write a book about myself, it's going to be named It Seemed Like a Really Good Idea at the Moment. But as far as this one, we've thrown out a couple of names, but it's going to have to do with the fact that the golden year, if you want, or something that's hot again, or it's going to have those elements in it. But let me get back to what I was saying. At 73, I realized it had been 18 years since Florida made this journey. Florida's been to more Final Fours and won more SEC championship. I mean, more. I mean, we think of Kentucky as in the SEC, and yet here are the Gators who have 3 championships to Kentucky's 1, who have been to 5 Final Fours to Kentucky's 3, who've been to more Elite Eights, etc. And the Gators are a true blue blood. But even a blue blood like Florida, it had been 18 years between championships. They don't happen often. And what I'm trying to capture in writing this book is that fact that, folks, I hope you savor what we just went through. Yeah. Savor those moments of Walter Clayton Jr. doing things that we think no human being can do. Savor the dunk by against Auburn. I hate to say this to you, Rob, because I know you're such an Auburn guy. But that
I picked y'all to win. You know that.
Right.
That dunk he made against Auburn, holy cow. I mean, that still just resonates with me. Will Richard doing stuff like that he did all this year, etc. like that.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean,
but you think about all these things, and they don't just, they don't happen by circumstance, by just coincidence.
Right.
And I want people to savor that, have something to remember what only happens every now and then, because it doesn't happen on a regular basis.
No, you're right. I mean, that's the thing. And as we look to 2025, Franz, I want to get your take on it. And, this is a game we play on the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows called Hype or Have At It. So I'm going to give you a couple basketball questions. And if it's hype, then you say, well, that probably won't happen. And Have At It, you say Have At It means it's a good thing. With the additions of Lee, Fland, Ingram, and A.J. Browne, the Gators could be better in the backcourt in 2025 than they were in 2024. Is that hype or Have At It?
That's hype. That's hype. They're going to be great, but it's going to be hype. The strength of the team is going to be up front.
Okay. And with or without Condon, can Florida reach the Final Four with or without Condon with the team as it's constructed right now? Is that hype or Have At It, Franz?
A whole lot easier with Condon because of the fact that he brings an element. Hanlongton and Chen can't shoot the ball on the outside. They're not going to do it. When you got Tommy Hawk and you got Alex, you got 2 guys that can stretch a defense. You got 2 guys that can get out there and play on the perimeter. All 4 of these guys can defend on the perimeter. All 4 of these guys can defend in the post. But only 2 of them can score outside the perimeter. Having 4 guys like that, we got Micah is the tall guy who's the ultimate rim protector. Ruben is an intimidator. Tommy Hawk is the Swiss Army knife, and Alex is a guy that just has impeccable timing of knowing when to do something good. Right. So you got 4 guys that I think I love the way they fit together. I mean, you take 2 hands like this, and individually they may be strong, but you put them like this together, they're doubly strong. And this is what 4 guys do. They fit like that. They fit the 2 hands together, and they become doubly strong. So you give them all 4, they're going to be really good.
All right, friends. Well, I know you got it right, man. Appreciate you coming on. Read him in GatorBaitMedia.com, and an unnamed book that's going to be a bestseller coming soon. Franz Beard of Gator Bait Media. Appreciate you, Franz. Thanks a lot.
Good to see you, Rob. Good to see you, Lauren.
We're going to think of a name for it. It's going to be it's going to be a New York Times bestseller.
Thanks a lot, Franz.
How about it could have been a New York Times bestseller if.
Thanks a lot, Franz. See you later. And with that, we're going to go to talk about our sponsors, Meldon Law. Meldon Law, the only official law firm of the Florida Gators, proven lawyer since 1971. We all know what Meldon Law has done for not only the Florida Gators, but the Gainesville community. Continue to support. They were right there through this Final Four run. They'll be there during football season, softball, just really doing a lot with the community. Ticket giveaways, Rob. I mean, they just do a great job. You can scan the QR code there. If you have a legal issue that they can't help you with, they'll point you in the right direction, get you to somebody. If it's injury, things like that, personal injury, they're right on top of it. But things like estate planning and others, they're on top of it. Meldon Law, proven and skilled injury lawyer since 1971. Meldon Law, we won't back down. Rob, we got to get to it, man. How you doing?
Good. Been watching this baseball in and out all day. Weather, I mean, it hit Memphis this afternoon about 3:30. We had a tornado right over here in parking at the farm, and I thought the house was going to explode. And It went up and it broke apart. And then Memphis was saved once again by the bluff. But I've been watching baseball all day. Gators probably look better than anybody. South Carolina, they're sick. That program, it's just hard to believe. But Gators, 16 wins now. They're getting close to, because they're Florida hosting a regional.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're playing well, scoring a lot of runs. The pitching is starting to come around. I mean, they really look good tonight. And able to handle the weather delays. I mean, there's some maturity with that too, as you know. Definitely. Before we get into our subject of the night, and I know you're fired up, I want to put you up on game again tonight, Rob, with the kicks of the week. Got the Air 95 Max Premiums, the Dornbachers. And these are interesting, Rob. That's because
Florida colors.
Yeah, but they come from my man Jacob Burris. The Dornbacher Pediatric Hospital in Oregon is every year they allow the children that are dealing with different issues to design some Nikes. So these are the Air Max 95 Dornbachers by my man Jacob Burris. So it's pretty neat. They let them put the name on there. You see the JB there. Yep. So I keep trying to say Flight Club, GOAT, StockX, holla at us for the sponsorship. We're really doing big things here, showing off the kicks. I think I got these from the Flight Club down in Miami. So shout out to Flight Club and the Dornbachers and my man Jacob Burris. So Jacob, you made the big time on the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows. So definitely kicks of the week there. So continue to keep those rolling. But Rob, Elite College Football came out with the list of best brands in college football. Now, I don't want you to start talking Elite College Football, but we want to go through this list, and I want to know Rob Browne's list. I want our listeners to tap in. And, Rob, you work in finance, you work with people in marketing, things like that. You have your own show, SEC Sidelines. When you talk about brand, we're not talking teams, but explain what we mean by brand. If we're talking about a brand, What are we talking about when we talk about a brand in college football?
You're talking about a brand. You're talking about the market value, souvenir sales, ticket sales, loyalty, endowment, foundation, and all. And the Wall Street Journal did a really thorough breakdown of brands when Texas and Oklahoma, it was announced that they were coming to the SEC July of 21. And it's pretty cool. All your sports, it doesn't matter what sports you're winning in. If you're winning conference and national championships, that increases your brand value. So it's everything: appeal, how often you get on TV, and it gets down to little things like, hey, push comes to shove, we're taking this school or that school because they have a huge fan following and they will support them at home and on the road. All that makes up your brand. And then, of course, history, traditions, and heroes factor in as well.
All right. So according to Elite College Football, and we're talking just college football, Rob, I'm going to go from 15. They had the top 15 brands in college football.
Yeah.
According to Elite College Football, and number 15, Miami. Number 14, Penn State. Number 13, Florida State. Number 12, Florida. Number 11, Clemson. Number 10, Oregon. Number 9, Oklahoma. 8, LSU. 7, Notre Dame. USC. Number 5, Georgia. And the top 4, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, and then the number 1 brand, according to Elite College Football,
Michigan,
the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
Now, you got any too low? Got any too high for me? What do you think?
Well, the Wall Street Journal has Texas's brand value at about $1.2 billion. Alabama about $1.1 billion. Georgia over $930 million. Oklahoma over $900 million. Auburn $900 million. LSU $900 million in that area. Tennessee about $780 million. Florida about $680 million. So, brands are. It's sort of like
now those are total. We're just talking college.
That's not just football. Yeah,
right.
The football brands. I think that list is fair because I think right. But okay, what time period? All time?
Well, I think it's present right now.
Yeah.
So as we look at the college landscape right now, they would now for me, and maybe I'm being a homer, I think Florida's too low. I think when you talk about the Jordan brand, the most recognizable cheer, basically, possibly in college, but let's say college football, I don't know about USC at number 6. Is
that's too high? I mean, look, Southern Cal, they're in Los Angeles. There's a lot of things. It's a big ass market, but 1982 to 2002, 20-year period, they had one 10-win season in that 20-year period. Pete Carroll comes along, they get rolling again, and now they're horrible.
All right.
Okay. Florida, golly, man, even when Florida is struggling, they're packing the stadium. You've got 2 fallen angels, Florida and Auburn, that are great buys right now. But Auburn's been terrible. Auburn's in the worst 5-year cycle. They shouldn't be in that top 15. No way.
Right.
Not right now, because they're in the worst 5-year cycle since the post-World War II era. Okay. Florida, they've got a hot quarterback. That makes them very appealing. And I would say Penn State, they're good. Don't discount them. They're really good.
But I mean, as a brand, is that something that, to me, when I talk brand, I'm thinking, does it jump off the page? Is what they, is it recognizable? Is it something that, I look at Notre Dame at number 7. I would venture to say Notre Dame may be the biggest brand in a lot of ways. I mean, that's, so I think, and that's what lends itself to the discussion we're having is what are we talking about when we're talking about brands? Ohio State, just their hold on the Midwest as a whole
Yeah.
is up there. You got to go, you could throw Texas, but, I don't necessarily, I mean, you're telling me there's one spot between Florida and Florida State brand wise?
Florida State is they're in trouble. Mike Norvell lost that locker room. Georgia beat them 63-7 or whatever. They have not recovered, and that's hard to believe because Bobby Bowden and Jimbo they were winning. I mean, they had an incredible run from 1976, really 79, that 11-0 season.
Mhm.
But you got to put Notre Dame up there in the top 2 or 3. You've got to put Alabama. That brand is so powerful. But look, you talk about brands. Ohio State and Notre Dame played for the national championship. Ratings were down by 3.5 million from the previous year. Now, why? There are a lot of reasons why. There could have been a power outage. I don't know, but I know
that's big numbers though.
That's a lot. Add people, man. That's a big deal. So Alabama is like the yet unseen nude photos of Raquel Welch or Marilyn Monroe 60 years later. Al Capone's vault. They're just Alabama, Notre Dame, Texas. Those are all powerful brands. Clemson, people will argue they're not. I mean, Clemson's a pretty damn good brand. They played for the national championship in the last decade 4 or 5 times. Right. Can't argue with that. Florida is, again, they're a fallen angel. And I tell you, where was LSU? 7?
LSU was 8. LSU was 8. Oklahoma was 9. I think Oklahoma might be a little high too. I look at it this way. To me, a brand is like, I don't have a school, but I like I like it. I like almost like Colorado had people going this year. It's like, I mean, it's kind of like that. No matter what, it's like, I'm swagging with it. I'm doing my thing. And, I think, and maybe that's the fine line is when you define brand.
You just defined it.
Is it success? Right, is it, is it the level of success or is it, like somebody said Miami. Now, I would say in the 80s, early 90s, you see guys in Ohio with U hats on because it was the thing. But when we talk about present day, I don't even know if Miami, no shade to the people down in South Florida, but 15th in the country.
What'd they get? What did they had? 2 10-win seasons in the last 21 years at Miami? 2. Okay. Now, 80s, 90s, 2001, they won the national championship. Larry Coker. Okay.
Right.
Now, Miami, you couldn't in the 90s, you couldn't drive around and not see lots of kids out there in a Michigan Wolverine starter jacket. Remember Starter? That was a powerful brand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I think Alabama is a powerful ass brand. Tennessee, they haven't won the SEC since 1998. Played for it in 01, 04,
but it's that creamsicle. Am I wearing that creamsicle just on the humble? That's and that's what we talk about the brand. Is it? I mean, I know we're talking about if you take, is it? And that's what maybe the question is. Is it more about the wins and losses, Rob, or about just the entire?
Because Oregon has gone out and bought themselves a brand.
Right. There you go. Now correct.
See, now look, Phil Knight's given them over $350 to $400 million over the years. And, you start winning. Now, Penn State basketball. I mean, that's like going to, Siberia for a Miss Universe contest. It's just Penn State basketball. Can you name me 2 NBA players in history that have come from Penn State?
Right.
I mean, that's a tough one. But I'll tell you why Florida is because across the board, Franz chronicles it better than anybody. He's a Gatorologist. 267 SEC championships. The closest school in the SEC behind Georgia in that department's Georgia with 151. Now, then you look at endowments. Texas, $43.6 billion. Texas A&M, drum roll, please. They're about to surpass 20 billion. But see, with the price of oil going down, I need to adjust those because West Texas Intermediate, which comes out of the ground, 4.2 million barrels per day in Midland, Odessa, Texas. 65% of that money every year the state gets goes to Austin, 1/3 to A&M. And that can't buy you a championship. It does not do it. Florida, with 23 million people, since 1983, has produced 11 national championships. Texas, since 1970, with 30 million that we know of, okay? One national championship. Vince Young around right end in 2005. Yeah. So I think Southern Cal is grossly overrated. But then again, when it's like a big bonfire the next morning, you go out there before everybody wakes up and you blow on those coals, put a little kindling on there, piece of wood. It's just, there's something about the television aristocracy that we had in the 1970s. Okay. And those schools, Penn State's a brand in football, but that is it. Now they may have, Cal Milken or some Amish sports. I don't know, but they're not much of a brand besides football.
Yeah, no doubt. And before we get to our last hyper have at it and finish up, I want to talk about our sponsor, Titan MRI and Imaging. Titan MRI is now Titan MRI and Imaging. They were acquired by Joe Calorio, started Highfield MRI in 1997. Now he's back. Titan MRI and Imaging now has 3 locations, 2 in Gainesville with its Park Avenue location, and now at the Millennium Center and 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI still continues to offer the same great customer service. They now accept insurance or through their convenient self-pay options. They have MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. Easy scheduling with lots of options, including evenings, larger MRI machines for patient comfort, no ERs, no hospital, and coming soon to Ocala to better serve Marion County and the surrounding area. Titan MRI, it's your choice. So, do we agree, Rob, that at this point on May, the 20th?
Yeah.
Not 2025, that Alabama is the top brand in college football. Do we agree with that?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just,
so
18 national titles. They could claim 27.
Right. Hyper have at it. In 3 years, Alabama will still be the biggest brand in college football in 3 years. Hyper have at it.
Don't sell them short. And just don't sell any of the big 6 SEC schools. That's the schools since 1963. Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and LSU that have won the SEC championship. When you've got 30 and 40 and 50,000 people on a waiting list for season tickets, they're not going to allow you to become irrelevant. Predicting Alabama in 3 years, Kalen DeBoer's a pretty damn good coach. And he's got a quarterback this year more suited to run his system. But I'd pick one of those 6 schools, and then Ohio State. They've got 800,000 living alumni.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
How do you keep
and here's the thing: the biggest number outside of Columbus is in Phoenix, Arizona. Imagine that. So that's the
retirement community. Come on,
that's true.
Oh my God.
I mean, no doubt. And then to throw a bold, we never want to forget our guys at Florida. I saw a stat. I was thinking about it. The last position player to be named All-American at Florida was back in 2020, I think 2021 was Cal Pitts, 2020, 2021. And the last 2 All-Americans have been offensive linemen, Osiris Torrance and Jake Slaughter at center this past season. So hyper have at it. DJ Lagway will be the next position player to be named All-American at Florida. Hyper have at it.
The problem is, the Arch Manning hype train is so strong. Garrett Nussmeier hype train, 5th-year senior, is so strong. But maybe not this year, but the next. But yeah, okay. I think he's that good.
So that's have at it.
Yeah, I think have at it.
All-American. Okay.
You don't. He kept Georgia. We talked about it last night with Greg McElroy at the Touchdown Club in Memphis. He's that good take that Georgia game, 7 minutes left, 20 all, what could be, what might be. He gives the fans the greatest thing you can give a fan base, hope. That's what he does.
Yeah, no doubt. And last one, you can just give me a prediction. Who goes to Oklahoma City, the Gators or the Bulldogs in women's softball?
Glad there's not a beer gut league for the men, Lauren. Can't you imagine? Hey, that boy, he's going yard.
So who you got? Bulldogs or Gators?
I'm going to take this year. Hey, man.
Best 2 out of 3.
I like the way that Florida beat Oklahoma. I know it was in Gainesville, but if you can do that, you can do anything, because Patty Gasso and the Sooners are gunning for a 5th straight national championship in $35 million Love's Field out there. I'd say Gators.
All right. Appreciate it. Who you got on the show tomorrow, Rob?
Man, we've got tomorrow morning, Mitch Davis going to check in from Hoover, Mr. Baseball. We will have Will Gunner from Columbia, South Carolina, talking about the Gamecocks. They're doing the funeral drive back to Columbia tonight. Miserable season for Paul Maneri, but then they can't do anything with him. First year, it's a mess. But we'll also have Dudley Dawson, Hogfield.net, Vince Ferrara from the Hill in Knoxville, and we'll bounce around and say some stuff, good, bad, and in between about all 16 teams in the SEC. But damn, I like that list of brands, man. You know what it does? It makes fans go, well, I want to be in that list. That's where I spend money.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, he's Rob Browne, Franz Beard, and executive producer Brendan Martin. I'm your host, Lauren Meadows. Thank you for joining us on the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same channel, recording live from somewhere. Appreciate
I like the music, man. I thought that was you snapping your.
I got some stuff coming though, so we about to get real jiggy with it here soon. So
you're a trip, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for letting me be on the show. Thank you, Brendan.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.